Does anybody have any public comments or communications? I'm going to take that as a no.
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 Does someone want to move that we accept the minutes from last time?
So moved.
Second.
Who moved and seconded? I'm
That
sorry.
was Hallie to move and Rosemary to second.
Okay.
Did you have a chance to look at them already?
Mhm.
I'm just looking over them now real quick.
Okay.
The sun is coming out, everybody. Yay.
Yeah.
That was quite a lot of rain back and
Yes.
forth.
But needed, I think.
Absolutely.
Thanks to Barbara for doing a beautiful job on her first set of minutes.
Oh, thank you.
And Sashi's joining us right now.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Hi, Sashi. We're just taking a look at the minutes right now from last time. Does anybody have any changes or comments on the minutes?
I do not.
In that case, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
That's Matthew and Marilyn seconding. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Then we would move to review of statistics. Jennifer?
Okay, so looking at statistics, I just want to make you aware that the March 2020 column, I just don't want you to forget that we closed halfway through this month, March 13th. So just note that the numbers you see here are obviously, if you're looking at the 2021 March and then going back to the 2020 March, I would probably go back to the March 19th because that was when we were fully open. So a little more accuracy as to, looking at fully open as compared to closure. The only things I really have to know is, as I was going through, looking through all of these, is we, believe it or not, even though if you look at 2019 numbers, I think I mentioned this before, we were at a pretty high number, let's say, of library visits, but even being closed, we're at exactly half that number. So that means the doors were closed, but people were coming to pick up curbside books, or they were coming for copies, faxes, wireless while we were closed. Because we were providing that to them. So I just thought that was kind of interesting that exactly half. So the other half, and maybe I'm making the assumption that the browsing, the studying, the meeting rooms, those are the things obviously that we're missing. And we're hoping that as we continue to roll out opening, we'll see more and more people, enter the building and utilize the different services that we've had in the past, which what we're planning on doing obviously is slow rollout, but we are definitely bringing back our services to hopefully full capacity, at least in the fall, everything open, if not sooner. But anyway, so that was interesting to note. And we've another thing to note, as we've talked about every single meeting, our ebooks, e-audio pretty much have doubled since 2019. So clearly we need to put some extra effort. I do want to note, we'll talk about a little bit later about the budget, but in next year's budget, I have definitely earmarked more money, more funding to the ebook and e-audio collection. So you'll see that continue to grow, more checkouts, more people are learning that we have them. So that's also going to be projected to go up because we are waiting on a collaborative venture with the schools,
Okay.
connecting, like I talked about last time. The only drawback at this point is the company Overdrive is so backlogged with these requests that it hasn't been turned on yet. But we are fully 100% ready for these students to be able to check out books directly through the school catalog through us. So we're so close and so much there. So I do see this number going up dramatically as we move along.
Jen,
Yes.
I probably asked this at the last 3 meetings, but the connection with the schools, will that affect the other 2 libraries?
So it will. What we were hoping to do is we are going to have the other libraries participate with us. We
Mhm.
wanted to make sure that it actually worked and that it turned on. We are fully vested in having both Bill and Mystic on board.
Mhm.
It's also been something that the Board of Ed wants to happen for all of us. They have
Okay.
inquired, actually, will Bill be on board and Mystic? Because of course, more of the collection, they'll
Right.
want more access. So absolutely. And I think I've talked briefly, we're at such an early stage yet about, whether it's library cards or direct access for the students, but the other libraries we are 100% going to be collaborating with to make, if we do go down that path, working with them to make that happen, because they are the neighborhood libraries. We need them. We
Right.
can't do it all, and we need everybody's support on that project. So yes.
Just remind me when I ask that again next month.
Okay, we'll do.
We talk about that.
Well, it seems like these months just grow, and it's like, what would, let's revisit that.
Yeah. All right.
I think that's really all I have to report on the statistics, unless anybody has any questions.
I wanted to ask about the children non-print.
Of
That's
course.
huge this month. Did we talk about what that was going to be?
You mean how it went from, let's say, even last year, 290 to 35?
No, it's under materials added to the
Oh.
collection. The children non-print is at 150 when it was 11 in 2019.
What's included in the non-print? The reason why last year, so this is what's happening in collections. Our audiobooks are on the slow decline, and things that would fall under that would be DVDs, and this holds true for the adult non-print as well. DVDs, audiobooks, music CDs, playaways, and maybe even our play views, but we're not buying those anymore. So what we're seeing is we were seeing a decline in all of those, including even DVDs, believe it or not. No one's checking out children's CDs anymore, and audiobooks are on the decline because the format is not as attractive because they don't have the players anymore. So what you're seeing here for this past month, we just did a rather large order of playaways to kind of sustain the audio collection since the audio CDs are on the decline. The playaways, however, are an individual device that has a book on it, if you're not aware, and you can plug and play. You can just listen to the whole book. So we've invested more in that as the CDs go away. So that is probably what you're saying, that's happening.
Are you making the CDs go away off the shelf, or you're just saying people aren't borrowing them as much?
So we have moved what's little left of the juvenile audio CDs. We've combined them with the regular CDs on the adult side because there's so few of them. There's like 10. No one was checking them out within the last 4 years. I mean, little to none. So what we're still buying audiobooks, the CD formats, but not as much, clearly. And we're also, even the DVDs, it's going completely down. And that's because the streaming services and whatnot are available. We're still going to have them, but not at the huge rate that we had. So
Now, is that over the last year of pandemic, you're taking that into account? Because that might have shifted things.
actually, before the pandemic happened, we started looking at how the DVDs, because we wanted to appropriate the money or the funding that we have for our operating budget appropriately, So we were seeing even with the adult audiobooks, we did a huge inventory during our COVID time, but before we did the inventory, we were looking at statistics because we wanted to see how much money we should appropriate. Because many people are now getting the new cars, and that was typically the number one place where people were playing their audiobooks. So we were already seeing a rapid decline, even with our DVDs. Again, we're not getting rid of them. We're just going to not maybe donate as much funding to that and maybe more of the ebook related platform. So, or e-audio and things like that, the streaming service. So hopefully that answered the
Jennifer.
question. Yes.
The word periodicals,
Mhm.
maybe I'm blind, but I don't see it anywhere. And I've been wondering what's happened with periodicals. We spend a lot of money on subscriptions that at the moment, I don't know, were you able to suspend delivery so we could save some money, or how are you handling periodicals and where do they fit within the overall picture going forward?
Sure. Periodicals, we have not stopped purchasing them because people are still continuing to check them out. The one thing that we're seeing with periodicals, so what we do is we subscribe through a company that we tell them all the magazines that we want by either popular demand or somebody's requesting. And it's an annual service. So we pay the bill and all the items come in. And we, during COVID especially, we transitioned from the new titles that used to be behind plastic. We're letting everything check out. So even the new titles don't have to sit there. They're able to check out. We didn't suspend them just because it's an annual thing. We had already prepaid for it. And people still wanted to check them out. In fact, they did check them out through their curbside pickup. Um, and I guess the only thing else to say about that, there was something I was going to say about periodicals. Um, oh, the one big issue we're seeing with printed periodicals is that a lot of these publishing companies are doing away with their print publication and putting them online. And a lot, as you can see, from the ebooks and magazines, they're adding more magazines available to people because those publishing companies are not putting them in print. So every so often, well, actually more than often, we'll see another one that has bit the dust because they ceased publication. And of course, we get a credit for that. You know, they ask us if we want something else, or if they just, we want to reappropriate the money, they'll give it to us back. So I'd say they're doing okay now. We always look at these things because we don't want to keep something that's not going to be sustainable in the future. But what's also on that periodicals annual contract that we, are billing is a lot of our newspapers and our value line, which is our, one of our really great resources for financials.
Is that borrowable?
I'm sorry?
Is Value Line borrowable? I mean, they're huge volumes.
It's not borrowable. You have to come into the library, or we can photocopy things for you. But people, in fact, I just got a call for it today. Like, can I come in, or can you make me copies? And I said, guess what? We're open. He was thrilled. But that subscription comes weekly, and it's on our periodicals, billing cycle. So,
No.
did I answer all your questions?
Sorry.
So I had a question about the DVDs. Do
Sure.
you see a decline? Do you see a decline in people checking out even the DVDs in the adult section?
We do. And that was even before COVID. We started looking because we do, when we can, when we're open, we do inventory when we can, and it's in little small batches. But during this pandemic, we were able to go through everything. We touched every single item, like I told you in the past. And what that means with inventory is how long it's been checked, how many times it's been checked out, when we receive the item, if we had to replace the item, how much it costs. I mean, we've got all that information in that record. So we can run reports from this saying like over 5 years, how many times has this been checked out? If it's only been checked out once in 5 years, time to make room for either a new one or nothing at all. So we frequently go through this, but we significantly did a huge inventory and looked at statistics, not during the COVID, but previous to the COVID, on running reports on how long things have been on the shelf and how many times they've been checked out, and other incidentals. So the DVDs, yes, I see it on the decline. However, we do have very many people who are still, they don't have streaming services, and that's okay. And we will continue to provide these DVDs. We tend to go with more popular things, or if a patron requests something, we are happy. If we can find it, we will buy it. Just because we'd rather go with patron demand at this point anyway. We want to buy what people want to see. And we like buying those BBC items, or the series, because people, that's the number one question we get is, do you have the series? And can I check this out on DVD? So.
Any more questions on the statistics? Jen, do you want to move to your report?
Sure. I guess the main item is the budget. We, myself and Michael, assistant director, we attended our council meeting on the budget. I thought it went really well. They asked a lot of good questions. And I have to say, I did relate to them. I don't know if anybody saw it, but I did relate to them. We had a very good conversation of, with the pandemic, do we have what we need? They knew that we definitely helped people during this time. And I do want to say, even though I'm jumping the gun, on one of the items that we have under old business, I just want to thank you all for providing your letters, because they absolutely did read them. And actually, they notated that in much of their conversation. At least 3 counselors said, we received so much support from letters from, all the citizens in the town. And they were very supportive. Not only the letters, but the council were commending, not only the work we do, but just, what the library can provide to this town and how we can help. So I can't thank you enough for doing that for us. So out of that, they definitely approved our budget. But what I wanted to say too is, I told them we're going to ask them when we need things like staffing. Right now, I didn't think it was responsible to ask for more staffing when we were closed this whole time. We've been managing, but as time is going to wear on, maybe for the next fiscal budget, we may have to look at additional staffing. But during this period of time, we're going to slowly open, we're going to get back on our feet, we're going to assess what our needs are, and depending on the demand of the community and what we need to provide for people, that's when we'll start asking the council for those needs. We have our next, our RTM meeting is coming up. Our first one is April 28th at 6:30. That is on Zoom. And then we have our full meeting on the 17th of May. So we're getting closer to the end of the budget cycle.
4/28 is the committee, RTM committee.
Yes, thank you. Yep, the 28th.
And would it be helpful if we wrote letters to the RTM, or does it not work that way? Or do the council letters also go to the RTM?
I think they only go to the council, and I don't see why the RTM is your RTM. So I do have the chairwoman's name. If you'd like to do that, I can send that to you. I mean, why not? Why not? Can use the same letter.
Yeah.
They were lovely. So that would be great. What else we have opening? I did want to mention, if you come into the library, we have transitioned that DVD box that we used to have up front. It is now just a self-checkout. We have eliminated the, excuse me. We have eliminated the DVD as a box. So what you do now is if you want to check out DVDs, you're just going to have staff right at the desk when you're self-checking out. They will undo them for you, unlock them for you. No more having to pull them out of the machine. We were having a significant problem with the software. The people who are providing that service, they are not going to a Windows 10 software or operating system. And frankly, it just wasn't working, and they weren't going to be updating in the near future. So we've eliminated that. And the next step, in fact, what we're doing right at this moment is looking at new self-checkout software to completely get that company off the books and have a new system that, you know, can handle upgrades in the future. So that is being handled right now. And we have a lot of programming that's happening as virtual program is thriving, but we're looking to start transitioning, as I mentioned, to some outdoor programs and doing some other things because, you know, summer readings upon us. One Book, One Region is in full programming mode right now. So there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes with that. One thing I have to say, I may be jumping the gun here, doing all of it at once, including the new business, but we are on May 15th, we are going to have, it's a Saturday program. The Trillium Garden Club is going to be having their garden sale on the back courtyard. We're going to have that there. And they're going to have everything distanced and everything. And the Circle of Friends is going to be holding a book sale on the children's patio, a small one. So they're going to be holding that. And then the Senior Center is going to be holding a flea market outside, a small flea market. So this is all going to be happening Saturday, May 15th between 9 and 1. So it's a nice I'm praying for sun. Praying for nice sun so we don't have to have a rain date for these things. So so hopefully you can come out and enjoy the outside. As for that, I don't know if anybody has questions about activities.
I was really charmed to see that, I guess that's Michael coordinating vaccine appointments for people who can't get out.
Yes, we've been, excuse me, he's been doing a great job. I mean, we've been on these calls every Friday. We've been meeting with the chief of police and a lot of the other town department heads to help assist any way we can. He basically gives a briefing, updates us on anything town related that has to do with COVID, so we can get plans in place for anything that comes down the path. But one of the things that Ledgelight Health District was really interested to see if there was somebody in the town that could help with this vaccine for the homebound, you know, coordination. And Michael was volunteered immediately because he said, you know, we have a lot of homebound people that we help service. So it's almost a no-brainer. So he's been coordinating and doing some scheduling for, and that's specific to Groton homebound people. So he's coordinating those appointments. But I think it's like I said, it's great because we work with homebound population, and we're also coordinating with the senior center because they also know people who, you know, obviously homebound. So we're working very good and collaboratively together on this project. So yes.
So this is not on the agenda, but since Matthew had asked a few questions about periodicals, I just remembered. I know that when I was living in the state of New York, New York City Public Library, or rather anyone in the state of New York could register for a New York City Public Library, and you could get a free subscription to the New York Times. Is something like that possible? I'm not specifically saying New York Times if you don't align with them politically, for example, but is there something similar for Groton Public Library card holders, or is that too expensive?
So you're saying if you sign up for a library card, they offer a free subscription?
Yes.
For individuals? Ah, that's interesting. That's very interesting. I
You
don't,
you can get the Hartford Courant and the New York Times for free through the state library with any Connecticut library card.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Every day,
yeah,
even Sunday?
I believe so. You might have to get a state library card, but if it's really easy to do. They'll
it is,
mail
and
you one.
I was gonna say they do it contactless, so you just fill out a form and send it to them.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
think
wasn't
it's,
aware of that.
I
So
think
that's
it's up
interesting.
to date. I
Yeah.
know you can get the historical newspapers for free. I think it goes up to the
But is this
current.
an online version, not the,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Good catch, Sashi.
That's a good question online. I'd have to check into that. See what, if there's cost for additional I don't want to say subscribers, that's the wrong word, but login, like when you're if like 5 people are on it at the same time, or how that would work. I know for the day, for example, we purchase it and we have, staff has a login so we can print out articles for people. But we don't, we haven't given it out because we're not sure if it's, subscription wise, if you can only have so many people logging in at once. But I can certainly check that.
Or
That is
could you,
yeah,
could
that
you-
is a fantastic service. Which one would, just out of curiosity, if you had your wish list of items, which one would that be?
I mean, I subscribe to the New York Times, but I mean,
Okay.
even what Barbara said, if that could be mentioned on your website, I think it would help people, because if I hadn't heard from Barbara, I would have no clue.
Sure. Well, what's interesting too is the state library. I wish they would do a little more marketing on that, because they have. I would highly encourage you to also get the Connecticut State Library card as well, because they have so many more online services that you can access that are very expensive for an individual public library, but because they're the state library, whether it's research related. I just went on the other day and found out they have a grant wise, which is something where you can find all these grants, and I'd have to pay a full subscription fee, but they already have it. They're testing it out if people like it. So if it's not just for, strict research, I mean, like Barbara said, there's newspapers, there's all kinds of things, and it's free to get. You just have to fill out a form and send it in. And they send it through the mail.
Their website is terrible. It's very hard to find stuff, but
And the other thing I noticed is that I think Mystic Library offers this service. I think they subscribe to Canopy, which is a streaming service.
Hmm.
So if you have a Mystic Library card, I believe that you can, I don't know, of course I never tried it, but again, I have no idea how much it would cost, but it would, if you
Well-
looked into it, and if,
That I can actually talk about. The Canopy is on the it was initially a great service. So what they do is they are a streaming service for movies and different things like documentaries. But they are definitely not a Netflix, because their rates have, what they do is they entice libraries to join at a low rate, saying, we have all these things, you can offer it to your people. And then we looked into this, and they have completely tripled in their pricing. And it's funny because the New York Times actually ran an article about how New York Public Library had them, and they have since done away with them because the exorbitant rates they were charging were just ridiculous, even for New York Public Library. So to let you know, one thing we're looking at, and I think Mystic is actually giving it up, to be perfectly honest with you. You may want to check that. But one thing we're looking at, we're trying to decide what's the right streaming service for the public that we can offer. Because it's my firm belief that if people understand something like Netflix or Roku or something of that, I'd rather try to find some way to make that available rather than some random canopy. And to be honest, we had a couple of our staff members test to see what was on there, and they are definitely not your new movies or your Academy Award winners, or things that people are really looking for. So we're looking to see, and that's one thing when we talk about assessments and getting people back in the notion of libraries. What are you looking for? I definitely think streaming is on everybody's mind, because if these DVDs are on the decline, then we got to offer something else. So definitely streaming is the way to go. It's just which one is the best, which one will offer the most, which one will somebody recognize and give the most value, most bang for your buck, basically. So we're definitely looking at that. I know Mystic was looking at, and they have since put in Hoopla, which is another streaming music service. It's interesting though, because it's pay by user. So if there's only so many people that can be on it at once, and I'm not sure I'm 100% excited about their model. So I'm trying to find things that are going to be, like I said, not only cost effective, but also what people really want. I mean, what's the point of buying something if 3 people are going to be using it? So we're definitely looking into that. And so as soon as we kind of look a little further on what makes the most sense, I'll definitely key you in on what's going on with that. Barbara.
I just looked at the state library site, and the New York Times is current. You have to enter a state library card number.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's 1980 to current, and then they have historical 1851 to 2017.
So notated about the marketing of that. We can certainly make that one of our priorities to put on when we're taking the feedback and looking again at the website and trying to build on that. That would be a good one.
If you decide that there's merit to the state library card for certain services, what, stipulating that you make that decision, and I'm not prejudging that in any way. When somebody signs up for a new library card or comes in to renew or replace a lost card, couldn't we at that point just invite them to enroll in both ours and the state card at the same time? So
well, the only difference between that, Matthew, is that with ours, you can just, you get your card, but you have to, as an individual, you have to, print out, you have to have the application, and you have to mail it to them. I don't know why they're not on the digital page yet, because it would be easy to help sign them up digitally. But they have to fill out the forms, they have to sign it, and then they have to send it in. And then they send it back to you, to your home.
Nice.
Very nice.
Oh, thank you.
The
I mean,
current
maybe-
is
yeah.
also online, up to date. I just checked that. And again, you have to enter your state library card number.
But to your point, Matthew, maybe we could look at having those forms just printed out so they could take it with them. I mean, that would be something we could do.
I meant to ask earlier with regard the collaboration with the school system and the other
Yes.
Groton libraries. What impact, if any, will that have with Waterford?
Ooh.
It depends on what you're talking about. Are you talking about the ebooks, that program, or the one we're looking at long term for that one card kind of concept for students?
You'll love my answer. Yes.
So with the Overdrive collections, there should be no issue with Waterford, because we all have our own separate, we have our own, they're called Advantage collections. So our money, the Groton Public Library money, goes directly to purchase the items that the school would be able to check out. Same with Bill, same with Mystic. So they're not going to touch any of Waterford stuff. It's a direct connection to us.
Okay.
As for the cards, that is a longer conversation. That's why we are so on the preliminary right now. I mean, all we wanted to do with the Board of Ed was to say, hey, what do you think about this? Could we actually explore this? Because if they were going to say no, then okay, So our first step was to get the Groton Board of Ed on board, and they are. So next is to talk to the libraries. That's the next step. And while we're doing that, we're trying to figure out, is this technically feasible? And what are we trying to accomplish? So we're going through our little phases right now. And of course, it's slow because the schools are a little, everybody's a little chaotic right now, but we're trying to increment, move ahead very slowly. But Waterford would in fact be affected. So we're going to have a conversation on how that would work. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. I think let's see, where are we? I jumped around, I'm sorry. So new business, I talked about the RTM and the May 15th. The only thing I wanted to mention was there is, as you've seen on the news, maybe, the American Rescue Plan, there is lots and lots and lots of grant funding that is coming to pass, and even specifically for libraries. In order to apply for these grants that the federal government is, pushing out, I have to attend a couple sessions with the state library because they are the ones that are going to be funneling the grant money through the libraries in Connecticut. So Michael and I will be attending multiple sessions in the next 2 weeks because I certainly want to get in on that, what the grants are really providing. They're looking at priorities with making sure technology infrastructure, technology, anything from wireless, hotspots, getting people integrated on the internet and, cutting that digital divide. So that is one thing. There's also, believe it or not, things for archival things. There's money for possibly even library construction improvements, which I'm really key on because we need a new roof so desperately. And while I'd love to put that in a CIP project, we have so many other things right now in CIP for the library building that are very important, like the cooling system or the brickwork outside that's deteriorating. So I am definitely going to be looking for that funding to help assist on a number of things in the library. But I will update you once I go to those sessions to see what's going on and what we're looking to possibly apply for. So
I ask a question?
please, yeah.
In
course.
your report, we're
Mhm.
transitioning from curbside pickup. Does
Mhm.
that mean that eventually that won't exist anymore, or will it still exist for people who, for some reason, are hesitant to come into the building?
So when we say transitioning, the only thing about using that word was I probably should have said vestibule, from the vestibule to now inside where you can pick up your books and go, and also to an open library. We will always have that available. If anybody wants to call and say, I don't want to come inside, we can bring your books or materials out to you. And the other thing is we're still doing the book delivery system. So, and this is not exclusive to homebound. If you want something because you just don't want to come out, we will deliver them to your house. We have Tuesday and Wednesday deliveries available. You just got to make an appointment. So there's multiple options on how to get your materials, especially if you still want to be contactless. So, yes.
But if you don't mind, you can still come in, right?
Of course, of
Okay,
course. Yep.
right.
So there's 3 options for you. You can walk them out to your car, come inside, or we can drive them to your house. Let's see. I think I did all new business. So unless anybody has new business for me, I can roll right into old business if you'd like. So I mentioned about letters of support. I just wanted to tell you way back when COVID closed us, we are going to resume. We had a vacant library aide position, and we had talked briefly about where we could post that and where it would be located out in the world. We're going to have to, even though we had some viable candidates, it was so long ago that we thought it would probably be best to put it back out again because I'm sure people's lives have changed. So we're going to be putting that back out shortly. The holdup, of course, wasn't only COVID that we were closed. It was really because we have to give a test for that one, a small little test, and we couldn't have anybody in the building, or HR wasn't doing in person. They were only doing Zoom interviews. So we'll be able to do that now. And so if you have anybody that you know that might be interested in a part-time position, that should be posted in the next week or two. So definitely encourage anybody. It'll be out on all the regular, not just the Town of Groton site, but it'll be on Indeed, where a lot of our traffic is, LinkedIn, not just the online. We're going to post it in-house. We'll have it available at the, town locations. And if you can think of anything else, I'm happy to distribute. We did talk about the college. So if you know anybody, please let them know. And the last two things really are our library book bike that we got Kim Ballantyne wrote a grant for through the Friends, and that it's currently being built. We're very excited. I got what the designs look like. It's really going to be something. It's going to eye-catching. Great part about it, if I forgot to tell you, it is going to have a hotspot on it at some point, so people will be able to use the free wireless, and we will be taking it to all different locations, schools, parks, senior housing. I mean, you name it. We're going to really try to get this bike around. If if we can't pedal there, we're going to throw it on the back of the truck and take it somewhere, just so people can be able to, get some books or use the internet service that it provides. We're very excited about getting that. And then last but not least, our outdoor garden updates are happening. Thank you, Trillium Garden Club. They're fantastic. They've been helping me with the outside here. We really want to have this outdoor garden as a real, showcase of programming and reading and having food back here. We're just trying to make it another welcoming environment if people don't feel comfortable coming inside. And what's great is our hubs are there, the wireless hubs. So we're really moving along. It's just the planting season now. So we're looking to get our new plants in, and they've just been terrific. I can't say enough. And thanks to the Friends, they've helped provide for some of the plantings. So very, very lucky to have both of those organizations supporting us. So that's all from me. Questions? Suggestions? And Matthew, I know you and Michael had a conversation about the website, and you did email me. I have not forgotten. I have about a stack of feedback. I just put it to the side for the moment so I could finish the budget out. But we are definitely going to be attacking that. I've gotten recent queries from different people on different things. So I've even gotten some public responses, which is really great. We can incorporate those things. So those should be, that's the next project that I'm really going to sink my teeth into. So. No other questions. How's everybody doing? Have you come into the library yet?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, great. Great. I know we've really taken out a lot of stuff, so you can just focus on books now. We saw our first family come in today. It was wonderful. And I don't think I told you this, but we got new baskets from the Circle of Friends. So if you want to load up a bunch of books and wheel them around, they're there for you. So yeah.
Great.
Well, it's so nice to see all of you.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Very,
Good to
very
see
nice
you
to see
too.
you.
Good to see everyone.
Yeah, it is. And if you're really serious about having the outdoor, I'm happy to do that. And if some people don't feel comfortable, I might even be able to bring out a computer to do a hybrid thing. I'll ask Sean to help me, but I'm sure we can manage it. So if that's of interest, we can look for that next month.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
It's a great idea.
Okay. Excellent.
You've done a fantastic job of keeping the library vibrant and serving patrons during this shutdown. When you said that you had half as many people visiting the library as before, that's just remarkable. That's really
It's
a
really
testament to your
interesting.
outreach.
It's amazing how, I mean, like I said, I can't tell you how many people are excited. It makes me feel good to know when people are always saying the library is dying, or, the books, no one's reading books. I'm like, well, you haven't been here, because I mean, I actually get, I don't want to say complaints, but like, I can't believe you don't have this book. And it's like, well, then I'm going to make sure that happens for you. I mean, keep reading those books, that makes me so happy to hear that people are still interested to read. Thank goodness. Well, thanks all of you again, once again, those letters of support, really awesome.
You'll get us the name, the contact.
Yes, I'll send it as soon as we're done
All
with
right.
our conversation.
Great.
Sure will.
Perfect.
Perfect.
If there's nothing else, can I have a motion to bring this to a close?
So
No,
moved.
we don't want to end it. Another hour.
Okay. Okay, that was a motion from Marilyn. A second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Everyone but Matthew?
Aye.
Great.
All right, thank you all. I'll see you next month. Unless stop by and say hello.
If not soon.
Yeah.
Jen,
Okay.
can you stay on for just a moment?
Me? Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, guys.
Bye,
Have a great night.
everybody.
Bye.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Be well.